Welcome to the Homemade Mother. My name is Jasmine and this is my channel. Okay guys, it's getting close to Easter and that means another DIY wreath for you. What we're going to be doing is an Easter wreath because what's Easter without wreaths, right? I mean, what else do you do? So for today's wreath, we're going to be using real greens to cover our wreath and fake flowers. I thought about using real flowers. I contemplated this for probably like 3 weeks. Like, should I use real? Should I use fake? I don't know. But when it came down to it, honestly, I decided that using real greens was fine because greens last way longer out of water than flowers do. So I could make this wreath and have it last for a month, depending on how sunny the spot is that I have the wreath in. Whereas if I put real flowers in, the wreath would last like 3 days and then they'd be toast and ugly and I'd be really disappointed. Yeah, so we're going with fake flowers, real greens, because I love the real look of the greenery. Fake is great too. You could totally do fake, but there's just nothing that beats greens, especially in your smoothies. Okay, so what you're gonna need is a wreath. Why do I forget the name of these every single time? A wreath thing. Wreath. Wreath holder, I don't know. You need one of these. Bind wire or some kind of string that will help keep it all together. I picked calla lilies for my wreath. I found some really beautiful ones at Michael's. Normally I would get them from the dollar store, but dollar stores flowers are so hit and miss. Every now and then you walk in and you're like, oh my gosh, those are beautiful. And other times you're like, that is the ugliest flowers, the most fake things I've ever seen. Anyways, I found these and they're so real looking. It's kind of actually scary. Like when I first found them, I was like, are these real? Like, are they? And I'm going with a color palette of white and green. I really love neutral, so for me that was perfect, but you could do pink or blue or whatever you feel Easter is. I would pick a flower that's not too bushy, puny, or anything like that because they're too bushy, especially since my wreath is so tiny. I wanted something that would kind of stay within a certain size. Then I also picked up some berries. I've got 2 different colors, white and green. I've mixed them together and I put them in bunches of 3 because I really liked how that looked. That obviously I've got my pruning shears, I got a pair of scissors, and I've got my ruscus. Oh, guys, if I could tell you all of the reasons why I love ruscus, we would be here way too long. And if you're wondering, there are a lot of different varieties of ruscus. This is Italian ruscus. So what we're gonna be doing is we got a wreath and we're going to take our ruscus and we're actually gonna chop it into smaller pieces, especially because this wreath is so tiny. Just gonna give it a chop and I'm gonna cut that stem down too. And I'm gonna do that a bunch of times. Here we go. All right, so I've chopped them into little pieces, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take about 6 pieces, stick them all together, one on top of the other. I got 6 little branches right here, and what I'm gonna do is cut a piece of vine wire. It does not need to be big. And wrap it around my ends, making sure that I've got all my ends in that vine wire. Okay, I got my little bundle and now I'm gonna make more of them. I've got 6 bundles of beautiful green ruscus. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to place them on my wreath to see how they look. I think it's the perfect amount of ruscus. I don't need any more, but it's super bushy right now. There, you can't really see through the hole. Now I'm gonna fix that by A, attaching them on. So I'm gonna pull down some of those branches, and B, if it looks still too bushy after I've attached them, I will trim off any pieces that are covering the hole too much, in my opinion. But first, let's put the first branch on. We're gonna take our bind wire, and I always try to sneak it in through a spot where it's not gonna be super noticeable. And when I'm placing it on, I wanna make sure that I'm covering the last piece that I just put on. So I'm covering that section every single time I put a piece on. Okay, for this last piece, what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna sneak it underneath the first piece so that when you put the bind wire on, you're gonna have the bind wire underneath the other greens so you can't even see it. It's the best way to put it on because then you don't have to worry about trying to hide your piece with something. This looks great, but there is a few pieces that I'm just gonna trim off so that you can see through the hole a little bit better, because that's the look I'm going for. I want you to be able to see the middle. So now we're gonna add our callas, and what we're gonna do is tuck the calla underneath all the ruscus, everything except for obviously the flower itself. Then you're just going to take your bind wire, try not to catch any leaves while you do it, and you're going to twist it on. Okay, now the last thing I'm gonna do is add my berries. Now because of the type of wreath that I picked, I can just sneak these guys right into the wood and they're gonna stay there, which is so convenient because it just makes it that much easier. All right, there you have it. A nice little Easter wreath. I love how easy this wreath is to make and how elegant it looks. It's probably one of my favorite wreaths that I've ever made. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe down below. I would love to have you follow along and hang out with me from time to time. That's it. Happy Easter, everybody. Ta-ta for now.